Hey folks, BENTHELOONEY here. People have been asking me to tell more stories about my crazy experiences with my roommates while I was going through college. Unlucky for me, there were plenty of times my roommates either made me want to kill them or made me have crippling depression that almost tempted me to slit my wrists. Lucky for you guys, we can look back on these experiences and laugh about them. In case you haven't seen my other two roommate videos, you can click on either of these two annotations and get caught up on who I'm talking about. So without any further ado, let's get started. So let's go back to the one 40-year-old roommate I had, Anger McPistolot. He loved pulling his 40-year-old card because he used that as an excuse to boss me and my other roommates around. I told you about the incident when he locked me out of the room. Well, get this. After the locked door incident, I would be hanging out in my bedroom on my laptop, not doing anything out of the ordinary. It's a bedroom after all. Well, one time, he caught me hanging out in there, and he went on this long rant that went along the lines of, "Okay, I don't want to catch you in here again. You have no business being in this room unless you're sleeping. Like, seriously, dude? I did research on this. Staying in your bedroom for too long, it's worse than smoking." When he said that, never was it so hard for me to hold in laughter. Like, my God, what? It was at this point I realized that this guy was crazy. Well, after his rant, I walked out of the room, and I actually looked up this bullcrap he was trying to spout at me. Want to know what I found out? Nothing. He's full of crap. Hanging out in your bedroom is not worse than smoking. Never did I think something as simple as sitting in my own bedroom would be horrible for me. So for the 3 months he was there, I had to hang out in the living room where everybody else was, and it was really hard for me to concentrate on what I was doing when I had 3 gamers all yelling at their games in a small living room. What cracked me up about Anger was one moment he'd be scolding me for how bad all the food I ate was, and the next he'd be asking me for some. Like, what the hell? It's clearly not that bad if a health nut like you was counting on it to survive. There was one time I bought a whole new loaf of wheat bread. I'm a country boy, so I love wheat bread. Anyway, after he got it, he asked if he could borrow some of it. Being the nice guy I am, I said, yeah, sure. Next thing I knew, I'm looking to where I put the bread, and I can't find it. Guess what? I looked in the trash, and there was all my bread. That son of a gun threw away a whole loaf of fresh bread. Oh, that ticked me off so friggin' much. If it's one thing I hate, it's food waste. There's too many starving people in the world to be doing crap like that. That was the last time I let him borrow any of my food. Especially when I found out from a friend who also roomed with him that he woke up in the night one time to find Anger McPistolot throwing away all his groceries that he just bought that day. He poured a whole gallon of milk down the drain. What was his reason? I don't want to be tempted by all this unhealthy food. Then just don't eat it, you stupid punk! I saw a bunch of food during my time in college that looked good. Did I eat it? No, because I have self-control. There's no reason for that. For this next incident, apparently Anger thought I smelled bad. I didn't feel bad. He thought everybody smelled bad because he was a loony. Anyway, I tried my best to make myself smell good for his standards. I bought some pretty expensive body wash to make me smell fresh for 24 hours. Nope, he still wasn't satisfied. I even had to resort to old-fashioned methods. I put vinegar in a spray bottle and sprayed our bedroom to kill any odor he might be smelling. No, still wasn't good enough for him. That's okay, he had his own method to combat the odor. Well, he was my roommate from January to March. What's so special about those months? Say it with me, folks. It's friggin' cold! So, to get all the smell out of the room, this crazy guy left the friggin' window open at night. Now, this was Chicago. This was when January and February temperatures can get below 0 at night. I'd fall asleep knowing the window was closed, and I'd wake up practically freezing to death because he opened the friggin' window after I went to bed. This wasn't a one-time incident. He did this every freaking day. There would be times I'd come to the apartment after class or work or wherever I was, and the whole apartment would be cold as hell because he would leave the window open even when he was gone. There was one day it was snowing. I walked into our bedroom to see snow piling up on the floor because he left the window open. Are you kidding me? I had just about enough of that. I woke up in the middle of the night one time because of the freaking cold. He was sleeping and the window was open. I walked up to the window and slowly tried to shut it quietly. I'd wait for cars to pass by on the street so I could slowly inch the window closed without being heard. So far, so good. I made it to the final inch, and I just gently closed it. But of course, it made a loud thump noise. Anger shot up, awake in bed, looked at me and said, "Please don't close the window. It really smells bad in here." Not wanting to argue, I opened the window back up, slammed myself in bed, and wrapped myself up in blankets, hoping I wouldn't die of hypothermia the next morning. Some nights it was so cold that I grabbed my pillows and blankets and just slept on the couch in the living room. I'm convinced that Anger McPistolot was Mr. Freeze. So, you folks want to know why I call him Anger McPistolot? Well, get this. My roommates and I would try to put dirty dishes in the dishwasher to keep the sink clean, and then when the dishwasher was full, we'd turn it on and put the dishes away. Makes sense, right? Not to Anger. He would take the dirty dishes out of the dishwasher, put them back in the sink, because he didn't want dirty dishes in the dishwasher. That's what the dishwasher is for, you idiot! Well, it got to the point where my roommate Coda got tired of trying to do the dishes and just left them in the sink. So, one Sunday, I was trying to watch a new episode of The Simpsons in the living room because I wasn't allowed to watch TV in my own frickin' bedroom. Anyway, the kitchen was right next to the living room at the apartment. So here's Anger getting really angry, yelling at Coda, saying, "That's it, I can't take this anymore. You never clean your dishes and you just throw them in the sink. I just called the RA and you're gonna be out of here in less than 2 days. Coda, being the hilarious smart aleck he was, asked, "Is that a punishment or a reward?" Anger replied with, "It'll be a reward because I won't have to put up with you anymore." Coda said, "Alright." Anger then said, "Get out of my apartment." They went back and forth for a bit, and the RA came by with a look on his face that read, "If I have to come over to this apartment one more time." So Anger, Coda, and the RA went back and forth for a half hour before a compromise was made. Dishes. That's what this whole argument was about. Dishes. I missed The Simpsons over dishes. Really? To lighten the mood, here's an Anger story that I heard from some friend who used to live with him. So Anger met this one girl on eHarmony and was taking her out on a date. He went all out with her, taking her to the expensive sushi restaurant and anywhere she wanted to go. Well, he brought her back to the apartment and they went into the bedroom. They were about to make beautiful music together, if you know what I mean. Well, a minute after they went in, the girl was walking out with a surprised look on her face and left the apartment. Here's Anger walking out of the bedroom saying, "God, her feet smelled." That's right. He was guaranteed about to get laid, but he kicked the girl out because her feet smelled. What? Who does that? Was your intolerance of body odor more important than showing a girl a good time? There are guys out there doing crap like that and I'm still single? What the hell is going on here? We now come to everybody's favorite roommate, Jackass. Living with him for over a year gave me plenty of stories left to tell. Where do I even begin? Well, let's start with the fact that he wasn't even moved in for 2 weeks, and he already had one of his friends living with us, without our consent. I tried to ask Jackass, "Why is your friend living here?" And he would say, "He's not living here, he just spends the night here a lot." I don't know about you folks, but 2 months in a row is not spending the night a lot. I tried to tell him to tell his friend to get out, and he told me, "I can't do that. I'm his friend. That's too mean. You gotta do it because you don't know him." What? What kind of backwards logic is that? Let me ask you folks, when it comes to people telling you something, are you more likely to listen to your friends or some random guy who's just saying something you don't want to hear? That's what I thought. On top of that, Jackass acted like the kind of guy who felt like he was the most important one in the room. There was one time he was at the sink just washing his hands, and I wanted to wash one of my dishes. So, I just ran my dish over the water for like 1 second, and he got mad. "Hey, I'm using this water. Don't take my water away from me. That's so disrespectful." Oh, all I did was just take your water from you for 1 second so I could get some cleaning done. Well, excuse me, princess. Another incident, he said this, and these were his exact words. Do you have any sweets I can bum off of you? Now, if it's one thing I don't like, it's giving my food to people who aren't my friends, especially somebody like him. So I said, no, you're not bumming any food off of me. And he got mad! Not because I said no, but because of this. Don't call me a bum, that's mean. What? Were you not the one who said, do you have any sweets I can bum off of you? He called himself a bum. The hell is wrong with him? I know, they seem like minor things, but they're the kind of things that just stop you dead in your tracks and have you question your sanity. So, how about a major story related to Jackass? So get this. He moved into our apartment in April 2015. The internet was in my name, so I had to pay it off when the bill was due with the money that I got from my roommates. This means that if any of them were late on payments, I had to pull money out of my savings account just to pay it off. I was very strict about making sure I got the payments. All I asked for was $17.50 a month. I think that's reasonable, especially on a college student budget. No excuse why 4 students with jobs couldn't pay off that bill each month. Well, since Jackass was a stoner who was more concerned with buying booze and weed for his underage friends, for the first 10 months, Jackass always owed me money for the internet. His toll would be building up, and he'd only give me like $10 sometimes for it. Tired of having my intelligence insulted by him, I decided to put my foot down. In January of 2016, I decided to block him from the internet. Well, when he realized I blocked him, he took it rather well. What the hell, man? Why can't I get on the internet? I'm obviously not giving you enough initiative to pay off your share, so until you pay me in full, no internet for you. Obviously, adult responsibilities didn't resonate with him. Give me the password. No. Give me the password. No. He tried to take my laptop, but I got up and yanked it right out of his hands. Then he knew I wasn't messing around. I'm not really the messing around type anyway. So, acting tough didn't work. He tried to make me feel sorry for him. Please, I have some females out there in the living room and I want to show them my artwork. He didn't have any girls over. Let me remind you again, folks. This was the guy who stole all my stuff because I lied to him and he doesn't with liars. Hypocrisy much? So anyway, I replied with, I don't care. Then he tried to say that he doesn't have a lot of money because his sister's quinceañera is coming up and he had to pitch in for that. All I said was, congrats for your sister, but you still gotta pay your bill. Then he showed me his grades to try to show how good of a guy he was. Finally came the threat. Well, I hope you don't have anything to do tomorrow because I'm gonna keep you up all night until you give me the internet password. Oh, I'm so scared. My God, was he that much of a baby? You're a grown man. You gotta learn to start paying your friggin' bills. Life isn't gonna stop for you because you're spending all your money on a plant that makes you lazy and hungry. Save up your money, be responsible, and pay your dagnab bills. Lessons in adulthood, folks. Take that advice with you. Well, having heard better threats from a 5-year-old, I didn't back down, and I got full payments from him. Even though later he tried to tell me that he could have hacked the internet. Yeah, sure. He thought every anime he saw me watching was Dragon Ball Z. I highly doubt he's smart enough to hack a computer. Before we get to another major story, here's an actual conversation I had with Jackass. I forgot the context because he loved bothering me so much over stupid stuff that I've forgotten most of what we talked about. But here is from what I remember. Would you knock it off? You really need to grow up. Don't call me childish. You're the one who watches cartoons. What I watch has nothing to do with how I act. Yeah, sure, but society says that if you watch cartoons, you're childish. Society says a lot of things. And besides, you watch cartoons. Yeah, but I don't watch as much as you. I'm an animator. Well, I'm a graphic designer. He walked away after that. So Jackass let his friend live with them for the first time he moved in. Get this. Bernie let 2 of his friends live with us for 2.5 months. To be fair, I wasn't too happy about that either, but I tolerated it because Bernie's friends were more respectable than Jackass's friends. But it was the longest 2 months of my life. Not because of the 2 people living with us, no, but because Jackass wouldn't shut the hell up about them living there. Since Bernie's friends hung out in the living room, Jackass didn't want to be around them, so he hung out in the bedroom with me. Non-stop complaining came from him. I don't want them here. Why are they here? They're a bunch of... Insert racial slur here. If it's another thing I hate, it's whining, and I heard a lot of that. My saying is, put up or shut up. Jackass wasn't doing either of that. Chewing my ear off with all the complaining he was doing. So, with that in mind, get ready for this. So, a month or so after Bernie's friends moved out, what did Jackass do? Let 2 more of his friends live with us. What? That's right, after all the complaining he did about Bernie's friends living there, he thought it would be a good idea to let his friends live there too. What a freaking hypocrite! So, I had to deal with even more roommates. When I signed the paperwork, I was supposed to only have 3. But the biggest thing that made me so mad about this was I went back to my apartment after going out of town to visit my family during winter break, and I found some stoner sleeping in my bed. Oh, that tore it. I blew up on Jackass. All my life, I was a kind, generous, and well-mannered guy, but that moment was the nail that poked the camel in the butt. Never in my life have I met somebody who drove me insane so much. I'm more broke than Matt Hardy. And what's hilarious is, get this, he said, look, they're my friends and they need my help. I can't leave my friends out on the street. I'm too much of a nice guy, and if you see a problem with that, then you're the evil one, not me. Really? I'm all for helping my friends out, but I'm not going to friggin' babysit them. And for the record, I don't make friends with stoner teenagers who get kicked out of their houses because they're disrespectful to their parents. My philosophy is, when you help people out too much, they believe they can keep screwing up and there's always going to be someone there to save them. Well, that's not how life works. You gotta teach people to take care of their problems themselves. Otherwise, we'll have a bunch of handout, begging, lazy people laying around. Society can't function like that. Call me old-fashioned, but that's how I was raised. If I end up in the streets, I'm not gonna mooch off my friends. They have their own problems to deal with. I'm gonna work my hardest to get off the street, and you can guarantee I won't be on the street again. But, wanna know something that's even more hilarious? Turns out, one of the friends that Jackass wanted to help out actually owed Jackass a lot of money, and then he disappeared and broke contact from him. I love it when karma catches up to people who deserve it. Anyway, before I leave you, here are some few minor things Jackass did that annoyed me personally. For starters, he was a guy who got mad at you if you call him a stoner, because when you call me a stoner, you make it sound like I'm addicted to weed. Of course, you're not addicted to weed. You just smoked it 5 times a day and said that you physically need it to function. But you're not addicted to it. Coda told me a story about when he was rooming with Jackass before I came along. Jackass would be blasting his music so loud that Coda couldn't even hear his game, even with noise-canceling headphones on. Coda asked him to turn his music down, but Jackass said, well, I'm doing this for a career. You're just playing a game. So I have main priority over you. Yeah. The guy who wanted to be a musician was going to school for graphic design. I don't think I'll ever understand that logic. But that leads to my next point. Jackass was so quick to get mad at you if you said one stereotypical thing about stoners, yet most of the son of a gun's logic related to people were based off of stereotypes. You're an only child, so I assume you don't know how to do your own laundry. You're from the country. Does that mean you like the Confederate flag? Coda can't function as a person because he plays video games. Why do you like the Blues and Cardinals? You're not from St. Louis. The Blues haven't won any Stanley Cups, so does that mean they suck? You don't root for the Blackhawks, but why don't you root for the Cubs? My God, read a friggin' book! I'd like to also mention that Jackass made friends with a lot of high school students, and they were constantly coming over to our apartment to hang out. Not a day went by I don't remember at least 2 people being over there. That's right, he made friends with teenagers. He was a college student. Well, that's not creepy in any way, now is it? Here's a good story I just remembered. So me and Coda were hanging out a lot because he was one of my few roommates that I actually got along with. And get this, Jackass thought that we were gay for each other. Because by his logic, you can't hang out with another guy unless you're in a relationship with him. So Coda came up with the idea for us to act like we were a couple. So we made gay jokes to each other and all that. And he actually believed us. It was so funny. He fell for it. So after 2 weeks of joking around, we revealed to him that it was all an act and we were just messing with him. He asked me, I don't see why I deserve to be messed with like that. And I just told him, well, I just had fun proving how much of a homophobe you are. And he was like, I'm not a homophobe. Right. Finally, Jackass, while having the munchies, ate 2 of my frozen pizzas, thinking they were his. When I asked why he didn't ask me if they were mine, he said, I didn't want to wake you up. Really? Well, that didn't stop you in the past from waking me up when you were blasting your crappy death metal music. Credit where credit's due. He did buy me some new frozen pizzas to replace them. That was nice. Until I found a full pizza in the trash can. Knowing it was mine, I asked him why he threw it away, and he said, I wasn't gonna eat it. What the actual hell? What is it with people throwing perfectly good food away? Doesn't anybody get the concept of putting leftovers in the fridge? Am I old-fashioned? Is that concept too complex for people to handle? What do you think Tupperware bowls are for? Decoration? My God, people, quit throwing your food away. If it's rotten, it's one thing, but if it's fresh out of the package, there's no excuse for that. Eat your dagnab food. Well, that was a long venting session. Just wanted to get it all out so I can move on from it. Well, have you folks ever had any bad experiences with roommates? Or just people you live with in general? Let me know in the comments below. Until next week, take it easy, fam.